welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
And I am other host, Nessa.
You want to tell us about this Pokemon thing you came across?
Okay, so Hockey of Tomorrow posted it. Apparently, there's this app. It's called HockeyMon. And their caption says, HockeyMon is an app that compares NHL players to Pokemon based on analytics. For example, they posted one of Jason Robertson's card, and he is compared to Dragonite, which I thought was kind of cute. And I was actually taking a look at it, and I did like Stephen Lawrence, who former Shark now, was compared to Oddish. I did Erik Karlsson. I think he's compared to what's his name? Magmar. Yeah, Magmar. If you can see that. I did Pavelski compared to. I'm only doing Gen 1 because whatever. Zapdos. And then I did Connor McDavid just to see. He's compared to Mewtwo. I don't know. This is fun for Pokemon
I know
lovers.
that one. That was one of the most powerful from the
First
Gen 1.
generation.
I'm not
Yeah.
that into Pokemon, so
Me neither.
all these phrases and like terminology, I'm like, yes. But I do know I have some friends that are really into Pokemon, and I saw this I think it came out maybe like a week ago. I don't remember who originally posted it, but I sent it to some of my friends that are huge into Pokemon and hockey, and they got a kick out of it, and I just kind of smiled and nodded in like agreement, like, yeah, that's fun, huh? I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I think these are cool to people who understand each of the Pokemon in a little more detail, but like it seems like they're accurate in a way, like the way that they're comparing them, like they're trying to use like actual stats and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that's a fun way to incorporate, you know, nerd things with hockey, and not make it so like gatekeepy and you can't have fun with it. So
It's cute.
hopefully other people understand this a little more than we do. And if you do, show us some of the cool Pokemon that you've come across, and let us know how accurate it is to that player.
Yeah, I'll probably like retweet it or something off the Over the Glass account just so people
Mm-hmm.
know where to access it. But it's fun. It's cute.
Yeah.
It's not like it has like a real purpose or anything. It's just for funsies.
Yeah. So I came across a couple weeks back, but we were on break, and then our first episode back, we had a guest. So some of this stuff might be already like old news to folks that are listening, but for us, we definitely wanted to highlight on some of these things. The documentary Black Ice is directed by Academy Award and Emmy-nominated filmmaker Herbert Davis, and quote, navigates the challenges, triumphs, and unique experiences faced by these athletes through firsthand accounts from Black, Indigenous, and people of color hockey players past, including Willie O'Ree, the first Black player in the National Hockey League, and former professional hockey player Akeem Alou, with the stories of present stars including PK Subban and Wayne Simmons. The film explores the deep BIPOC roots of the game, dating back to 1865 and the Colored Hockey League in the Maritimes, CHL, the first all-pro league, which not only introduced Slapshot, but shaped the game of hockey we know today. So that is playing right now nationwide in AMC theaters, and it was released on July 14th.
If you're in the Bay Area, there's about 7 locations playing, and I just checked. Closest one to me is Bay Street in Emeryville. I think there's 2 close to you down in San Jose. So if you get a chance to go see it, let us know what it's like.
It's a very huge moment for for the Black community and just for diversity and representation within the sport of hockey in general. And I'd imagine it's going to be a lot of good information and very educational.
Yeah.
And then another documentary that came out or will be coming out on the 25th is called Take the Ice, which is a documentary of the NWHL. So this actually started out as a Kickstarter project. As announced on deadline.com, Take the Ice will be available to rent/own on all digital HD internet, cable, and satellite platforms, as well as on DVD starting on July 25th, 2023.
Yeah. Another one I'd be curious to watch.
The ECHL will be welcoming a new team in the 24-25 season in Lake Tahoe.
So currently, the Sharks is it ECHL? One of their minor league affiliations is the oh god, I just forgot their names. The one in Kansas? Are they in Kansas?
Wichita. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wichita. Do you think that they're gonna try to go and make this team an affiliate at some point, or do you think Vegas would
I
have
have
dibs?
no clue. I don't even I don't even have a yes or no speculation. I think it'd be cool just to have everybody within the vicinity, but I can't even begin to say that I have any knowledge about how that would work.
It'd be cool.
Yeah.
Because, like, imagine there's another situation like Strauss Man from last season where he kept traveling between the Thunder and the Barracuda every other day. It felt like
Mhm.
the poor kid probably didn't even have like a good sleep routine because of the time difference he was constantly crossing. That's exciting. More hockey around the Bay Area, near the Bay Area, because it's not part of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And then shall we talk about the drama revolving around Karlsson trade rumors? So I've been kind of trying to keep in the loop of what's happening with this. It's just I'm getting so annoyed at this point because rumors. Everyone's saying the same thing in different ways with these articles. Right now, it seems like it's still between Pittsburgh and the Canes. But then some other article came out that he had been talking to the Leafs as well as the Kraken.
When they were first starting to talk about Carlson deciding that he wanted to explore being traded, these four teams were the ones that were talked about.
Right.
And like that was what, at least a month ago. And since then, like the Kraken have signed Vince Dunn to like a 7 point something million contract over like the next couple of years. So they don't have any room left, at least from my looking at their salary cap. I mean, they could probably figure out something if they really wanted to, but I think it's very unlikely at this point. And I think I saw something about how like the other two teams are kind of like not really talking, and it, like you said, it's coming down to the Canes and the Penguins, which I don't even know how the Canes are still finding ways to sign people. It's insane. But I really think it's just going to be down to those two teams. Like the other ones, I think we're in early talks, but as we know, this has been going on for quite a while now, and both those teams have made several other moves since then.
Right. But Carlson just had this interview and he brought up the names, which is why everyone's talking about them again. That's 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 all I'm getting from this article. Um so yeah, like I haven't paid too much attention to the moves that a lot of the other teams are making that are supposedly in the mix. But the team that makes the most sense to me right now seems to be the Canes, because they actually seem like they have more of a chance to make playoffs in the long term compared to the Penguins, who are a little bit more aged. And just adding a 33-year-old Karlsson to that mix is, you know, how long can you really go for the playoffs? Um, as a Kraken stan, I wouldn't mind seeing him in Seattle for personal reasons. For hockey reasons, it wouldn't make sense for Greer to trade him there. Uh, Toronto is Toronto. Like, that wouldn't make sense to me in any. Even if it did make sense logically, it wouldn't make sense to me at all. um, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of over it. Carlson doesn't want to be here in San Jose anymore for the fact that he can't see himself winning here anytime soon, which sucks. But the situation is what it is, and like Greer's gonna honor the fact that he wants to go for a cup as soon as possible. But it sucks that because people keep asking him, like, "Oh, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?" They make it sound like he doesn't want to be in San Jose just for the fact that it's San Jose. Like he doesn't like it here. But if you're actually reading his quotes, he's saying, "I like it here. It's the situation sucks. Like I'm not gonna win here anytime soon." So he doesn't see himself finishing out his contract here, which makes sense. And it makes me sad. Like we had a star player on the team and we can't even keep him because the team sucks.
Yeah. Um, to be honest, I'm not that bothered by the Carlson talks. I just ignore it because yeah, like we don't really have too much to be talked about here. So I understand the media is like, I don't know what to write anymore about this team. And this is the one hot topic. Like they're all trying to get more information as each week goes on. And yeah, it is frustrating to fans and to Carlson because it's like we've been talking about this for like well over a year now because it was looming on us all last season. Like, will they trade him during the deadline? And after that didn't happen, well, now the news came out that he does want to get traded. So um yeah, like I said, I just think that they're just continuing to try to keep this story alive. And a lot of the information that's coming out is just a rehash of what we already know. Just so, like, in case you didn't hear about it a month ago, this is what the news is and everything like that. Uh, yeah, like if he goes to the Penguins or the Canes, fine. Like, at this point, it's like, what are we gonna do? He obviously wants to leave, and Greer's gonna, at least acknowledge that he wants that, and we'll look into offers and stuff. But the reality of this business is he really shouldn't trade him away just, at any offer that comes down that looks halfway decent. During the season, the Sharks weren't going to retain more than 20% of the salary, and teams now are saying, well, we'd like you to retain at least 40% of it. So if we're retaining 40%, so that means we're retaining about what, like 5 million worth of his 11.5. Like, that kind of sucks to be retaining that much money over the next 4 seasons just to let a star player defenseman play on another team. Like,
Yeah,
that's
it doesn't make
crappy.
sense on our end.
Like, we would definitely have to get a ton of good things back. Like, for me, like, definitely like a first round pick.
Yeah,
And
three-time
just
Norris Trophy winner. Heck yeah, give me
like
at
that,
least a first rounder.
and several other things if we're going to retain that much. Like, if we only retain a little bit, like, yeah, like the return doesn't have to be so like hit it out of the ballpark, to use another sports analogy. But it, like, with the cap situation right now, like, yeah, like, it's gonna take some time for this to happen, and it might not happen because of the cap situation. And unfortunately, Karlsson might be a little upset to have to spend another season in San Jose playing for a team that's going nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at this
Sorry.
point, at this point, I kind of just want it to get done because I'm curious to see what the haul that he brings in is going to look like.
Well, let's see. It's July, and we have about 2 months until the season starts. And even up until opening day, something could still happen because that was the situation when we acquired Erik Karlsson.
Yeah.
So you have about 2 more months of them having the ability to continue playing playing the long game.
Yeah. Next topic. More drama?
Yeah. So came out a few weeks back that, well, Martin Kraut was offered a qualifying offer for the Sharks. They wanted him to come back, but he decided, no, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go play for a team there. And initially, I was like, all right, well, there's all sorts of reasons why a player wouldn't come back. Like, yeah, the NHL is the top league in the world, but we don't know a whole lot about him outside of him being part of the trade when Ryan Merkley went over to Colorado. Um, he was playing what, on like the fourth line, spending some time between the CUDA and the Sharks. Like, at most, I was saying, okay, he's getting his footing here. I recalled, like, he at least, made good use of the time that he did when he was out on the ice for the Sharks. So for him to decide not to stay, maybe he just needed to go home for personal reasons, was like my initial reaction. So to have this stuff come out where he's allegedly didn't have a good time with um with the CUDA coaching staff. They were trying to change his play so that he would kind of be like the quote unquote enforcer, which we've seen so many seasons pass with like Gadjevich, with VL, with, even going back to when we had Curtis Gabriel. It's that part of hockey that unfortunately will not go away quietly. Even though, I mean, we still have a few folks like the Ryan Reeves of the hockey world that will have a very prominent spot in the lineup, and then you've got these other guys where they're pretty decent players, but they have this extra part of their game that it is effective to keep them in the lineup. I have to say, is it annoying? Certainly.
Yeah, I think when I first read this article, I was disappointed to hear this about like, well, it's more so the CUDA than the Sharks because it was a CUDA coach that he was talking about. The funny thing was that the Sharks put out a statement kind of countering. It's like this never happened. I'm sorry he felt that way, but at that point, it's like I don't know who to believe. That I have my biases on who I want to believe, but you don't really know what happened, so you can't be like, oh yeah, they're lying or he's lying or whatever, right? Uh, he did say something as well, like the CUDA team really they didn't play as a team or something, like they didn't mesh well, or he just made a comment that it didn't feel so much like a team, and he was like, I'm not going to fight for these guys if they don't work together. And that's kind of disappointing to hear, like the if the CUDA are being mismanaged, with all the talent that's coming in. But it also makes a lot of sense because you saw how the season went. They didn't really seem to play as a team, like one unit. So I hope they address that soon because otherwise it's like, why are you bringing all of this talent if it's going to go to waste?
I'm not really sure how to feel because, yeah, one of the first things that I did think of when he came out with what he said to the Czech media, and then when the Sharks came out with their response to it, yeah, my first thought was concern with how we are in this rebuild phase, and we have a lot of young folks that are going to be coming through, and we're trying to retool or whatever our prospects. And we've seen some examples throughout the league where, who was it? Jared McCann. I think I mentioned this last episode where he was brought up way too early for the Canucks, and for one thing led to another, and he was moved around, traded to different teams, eventually found himself in the Kraken, and he's having a really great season, signed a contract extension with them. So, and the Canucks are in a similar situation as us, where they have talent, but they haven't been able to get things going. And I can't say what state that they're in, but little things like this will will cause trouble with managing to get the team where you want it to be, where you can get back into the playoffs and stuff like that. So definitely concerning. Um, with Martin, I wish him well, and if anything, he's back home, and hopefully that will help to get him through this experience that he had, and hopefully with the Sharks organization, even though they say none of this is true, if some of it is true or the whole thing is true, hopefully they take this as an opportunity to
Fix it.
really clean up the situation, because as a fan of this team, we're really investing our hopes into this rebuild and looking towards all these prospects that were drafted in the last couple of years, and fans are not going to be very happy if something like this is actually happening and it doesn't get taken care of, and that causes an issue later down the line of us not being able to get ourselves back in a good spot.
I don't want to be in this rebuild stage forever. I don't want to be like the Buffalo Sabres or the Detroit Red Wings or the who else took forever to get to the playoffs again. I don't want to do that. That's boring. I'll go follow the Kraken while I wait though.
Well, I'd rather be the Wings than the Sabres, because at least the Wings have cups.
Yeah.
Brock had his talk with the Chicago Blackhawks prospects maybe this month, or within the last month.
It was this month.
Um, and I would love to see other teams do that, or at least if you don't ask Brock, like get like was it the Maple Leafs had God, her name escapes me right now, but the Leafs had something similar during their Pride night, where they had players sit down and get to hear from a perspective of someone within the queer community who spend a lot of time playing hockey, and just getting that perspective from someone, and especially if you haven't had to personally deal with that.
Yeah, I mean it's important just to have them see like we're people, just like they are.
Yeah.
We don't have an agenda. We're just trying to exist in the same space they are.
And not make it so that like a Luke Prokop has to do all
Heavy
the
lifting,
hard,
yeah.
yeah, all the heavy lifting. Like it's great that from the outside looking in, it's like the teams that he's been on have embraced him, and I'm sure just by being in the same space as him, they experience how normal it is to just have someone within the queer community like around them and should be in this space and everything like that, and it rubs off on them that they should hopefully speak out when when situations where someone is being harassed and things like that in the locker room. But there definitely needs to be more of this conversation happening.
Yeah. You know what would be a great way? Think drag queen story time, hockey edition. You get drag queens to come in and talk to the players.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that, but I think that's a little,
Hey, no, it's a little
that's not
much.
very subtle. It's they're I don't know how much they're going to be paying attention if you dive that deep into the pool.
Right. So like suddenly like here, this is a drag queen, and you're like, whoa, buddy, if they're not used to it. No, but I wish more teams would do it and were more supportive. Like make some effort. Like I wish the Sharks would do it. I know that there's a lot of people within the organization that support us and like they actually put an effort into it, but it'd be nice to see that effort being put in with the players as well, you know?
Like I think about how many of these teams are actually doing stuff like that, and maybe they just don't actively talk about it.
Broadcasting? Yeah.
Like even the teams that do broadcast it, like, the Chicago team, their logo is not good. And even when they're doing this stuff to like over the last couple of years since,
Kyle Beach beat.
there we go. When all that came out, and now like you'll start seeing how they're trying to get more involved with like the indigenous community, and they're doing all this stuff where they're like showing that they're doing the work and things like that. It's like, okay, that's good to see, but at the same time your logo is still horribly racist. It's like
Yeah.
really hard to like absorb that and acknowledge that this organization understands what they need to do. And at the same time, it's like, yeah, and then that logo is just everywhere. Like this,
Yeah.
like I don't know how to feel about this.
The
So, even like
hypocrisy.
during like the Pride nights, like the teams that did do something, but then they retracted from certain things, or then they do other things on the side where it's like contradicts what they actually were doing. It's like it's like I try to not not just take that as that's exactly what the team is doing and they're doing nothing else behind the scenes. So I don't know.
No,
But
I haven't heard
yeah.
anything about the Sharks doing a talk like this. And I think it would have helped in the situation that happened with the whole Reimer thing, you know? Like, I don't know if it could have been avoided, but maybe he could have had a better understanding, you know? At least that's just my perspective.
Yeah. Well, he's the Red Wings problem now.
Oh, is that where he went? I forgot.
Yeah. Mhm.
The Women's World Cup is happening at the moment. If y'all weren't aware, I'm sure you are because it's been everywhere. And I think most of the teams have played by now. Yes, one, two. I think there's only two games left. I think today and tomorrow morning. Oh no, four games. Four games left for everyone to have played, and these are all kind of just Uh, it's the group stage, so everyone's trying to get their points to figure out the brackets for the knockout stages. And I've only been able to watch a little bit of like a couple of games. I watched the Canada Nigeria, like the tail end of it. I watched the Philippines against Switzerland for a bit, which was really exciting for the Philippines, I have to say. Like, it's the first time they were there. It was really exciting. They scored a goal. Unfortunately, it was offside, but I don't know. It was really. I think it was a fun game up until I think Switzerland scored, and you could kind of see them kind of deflate. Like, okay, we're trying, but they kept kind of burning out. So hopefully they can learn from that because if they can get far, that'll be super exciting for the Philippines. Canada Nigeria was cool because Nigeria really like they fought to keep that a tied game. It was a fun like 20 minutes I watched. The U.S. is the U.S. Like we expect them to dominate. They're coming in to defend their championship.
Quinn, who plays for the OL Reign, became the first non-binary
Hmm.
soccer player to play at the World Cup.
Yeah, for Canada, that's cool. But I still wasn't rooting for Canada.
I was rooting for Quinn, and that was just about as far as that went. Um, there was a documentary or like a short form interview that was put out by I think it was Rick Westhead, and it was like interviewing Quinn's family. I think there were a couple of teammates or friends that also talked just about the journey that they had from growing up and playing to um, what I found most compelling about that interview was they spent some time playing university soccer because they missed out on making the roster for I think it was like the World Cup or for whatever senior level club for Canada. So they were able to just focus on doing the college thing and exploring, who they are. And that was around the time when they realized that they were non-binary.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Do you know where to watch this?
I think I retweeted it on my own personal, so you can like. I'm not sure if there's a longer version of it. I watched the one that was. I think it might have been a link
Okay,
to a web page.
I'll try to find it later.
But and then, do you have anything else you want to talk about the World Cup?
So I'm actually really excited to watch Brazil. I think the next game is Brazil against Panama, which I wouldn't care which team won there, but there is a Brazilian player. Her name is Marta. She is entering her sixth Women's World Cup.
That's the one who plays for Orlando Pride.
Yeah,
She's the one who wears red lipstick.
yeah. And she wears
Yeah.
she wears Marta on her jersey. She doesn't
Uh,
use her last name or anything. She uses
mm.
her name, which is great. She's a beast. I don't know if you've ever seen her play. I think I watched her in the last World Cup or some game. I don't remember. It might have been a friendly, but she's a beast.
I think
I'm a
I've
big
only
fan
seen her when she's played for
with the Pride.
the Orlando Pride.
She's a really good player. She's only 37. Can you imagine 6 World Cups? That's crazy. Oh, and just to stay on the soccer topic, so Messi decided to play his very first game in the MLS with the what's their name? The Florida team he plays for?
The
Miami?
Inter Miami,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Inter Miami FC? I don't know. And it wouldn't be a messy introduction without him scoring a free kick goal, winning it in the last seconds of stoppage time. He's ridiculous, dude. I'm excited for the fans of that team. Like, good for them. They get an awesome, like a legend basically playing for their team. I'm jealous because when could the Bay Area ever?
They will when Bay FC starts.
I wonder who they're gonna bring in. Oh yeah, they just announced they're gonna be playing at PayPal Park next season, which is
Which
not
is
a
literally in
surprise.
my backyard.
It's not a surprise. I'm kind of
I already
disappointed.
started looking up the route of when I go to games, can I just take public transit?
Yeah. I'm kind of disappointed because I live far and I was hoping it'd be a little bit closer to me. But if and I've never been to PayPal Park, so I haven't been to an Earthquakes game yet. I mean, I'd be down
Yeah,
to
parking
go.
is kind of a bitch. Like I one of my friends, I think his family bought him season tickets one season, and every now and then he'd ask me if I wanted to go to Earthquakes game, and we'd go, and we had to park at like one of the lots that they makeshift down the road, and then you got to walk over. It's not that bad, but it's still like, ugh. It's really like a whole thing that you have to plan out, which is why I'm like, cool, how can I get there without having to drive myself?
Yeah,
Because I don't want to deal with any of that like once I start going to any of those games, because it's
yeah.
literally like right across the way, but like the airport is there, so walking there is not an option at this time. I don't want to spend an hour walking over to watch a game.
Why don't you like Uber or Lyft over?
Yeah, like I was saying about that, and like, but the public transit is pretty decent. So
Oh, yeah, I'd have to drive. Without traffic, it takes me about an hour to get down there, so I have to plan my whole day, which is why I was like, I don't want them to play in San Jose. Like, I hope that's not their permanent spot for
but the
selfish
thing with
reasons.
that is like, so I don't know about other options that are available across the bay, but like, do you know other options? Because it just felt like this made the most sense, because it's not like they can build an arena. I don't think that
Right.
they have the funds for that. So it makes sense that they would just, hey, there's this soccer field that's already there. The Earthquakes play there. Like, obviously it's being paid for and maintained, and they don't have to deal with all the other stuff. So, and then like what came out a while back was they were probably not going to set up in Oakland because of the Oakland Soul.
Yeah, but that seems silly because they're a smaller team.
But I think they're trying to move up.
The Soul?
Yeah. I
Oh,
saw
okay.
something about how they were trying to move up and whatever, however the tier system works there. So, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah. What about yeah, no, I don't know. It's the Bay Area is so big, but there's such limited options for these teams, you know? Like, would it make sense to put them some random place like Fremont or like Concord, Walnut Creek area? Like, it just it doesn't make sense.
I don't know. We'll see.
Whatever.
We'll
That's still
see.
exciting. We're getting a professional ladies soccer team other than the Soul.
And one other thing I just remembered, the Jacksonville Jaguars strength coach, Kevin Maxon, came out in the NFL up first in major US men's pro sports. So he gay. He came out,
Wait, but
and
he's a what? What's his
he's a
title?
strength coach
Strength
for
coach.
the
Okay.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Nice, nice.
And one of my friends who follows the NFL a little closer than I do said that that's really great, and the team's ownership will definitely have his back because the Jags are owned by the same family who owns All Elite Wrestling, which has been super supportive of the LGBTQ plus issues and has multiple wrestlers who are out. So good for
Nice.
him and good for the NFL. Hopefully, he gets support that he definitely deserves. And if only hockey. If
If
only
only.
hockey would surprise us sometimes. But so next week we're gonna have another Hockey Tomorrow contributor come on, and she's going to talk about hockey and her love for the Canucks and other great things. So stay tuned for that in the following week. And until then, I am your host, Jay.
I'm Nessa. Thanks for joining us.
Take
Bye.
care.